Welcome back to Cheche. If you're just joining us, we're speaking to Francis Nyenze, who's the MP for Kitui West and also the leader of the minority in the National Assembly. And before the break, I was hoping we could finish with the salaries issue, but there's been a huge response from our viewers. And I'll give you an example. Can the Honourable Nyenze comment on the long-awaited retired teachers' pension? While MPs fight for higher pay, the retirees are dying and leaving behind what they earned. And that came from, I think, Sungu in Embu.
Yes, thank you very much, Sungu. I think the retiree teachers won a case in court, and they are awarded that pay. But the government has set on it. I think the retired teachers deserve to be paid as soon as yesterday. This government should not sit on their rights. The court ruled, and it should implement it, and we will raise it in Parliament.
Why are we not hearing a clamor from members of Parliament about that? But they are hearing clamor about themselves.
When you hear it from Nyenze as a leader of minority, no, that is a clamor by
just
the
because
members.
let me
Just
ask
a minute, just one, David,
on the
bear with
matter
me.
of,
Would Honourable Nyenze, that if they want to keep giving themselves hefty pay, then we have no option but to tell Kenyans to stop paying taxes? And that came from Kissinger in Kericho.
No, Kenyans should not stop from paying taxes.
Because of course MPs, then we won't be able to pay you.
Let's say MPs are 349, but if Kenyans feel very strongly that these salaries are too high, it can be negotiated. But MPs are only asking for retention of their salary, not reduction, because they had planned. There are MPs who are there in the last parliament. Now when they win the election and they come and they see the salary has been cut in half, what do they do because they had planned?
well,
and you know they meet
Mr.
a lot
Nyenze,
of
when a company is going bankrupt, it restructures and it creates new portfolios, new salary scales, and you are told you pick that or we can't afford you. That's what has happened to company Kenya.
And
okay, but let me add this, that in fact, let's get into specifics. The salaries that you are paid as the 530, whatever we are contesting
then
about,
it's taxed to nearly 200.
Yes, but let's add the allowances that you get. How much, in fact, in a month does a member of parliament get? Isn't it over 1.1 million?
No, that is
How much
policy.
does it
I saw a payslip purported to belong to a member of parliament.
How much does it come to? Give us the facts so we can appreciate.
If you go by Sarah Serem's packs, there's whatever, it's like 375. Because even the small taxes she has imposed on every, committee sitting allowance, everything is taxed. And she has also put a ceiling that however number of committee sittings you have, it should never exceed 150. So she has also tried to contract the business of committees. They cannot meet to deliberate. They have to meet without pay.
But that is what we have. Actually, do you know that members of public do not know that you actually get paid to sit on top of on top of your salary which you are protesting?
And what they used to do actually, and I put it to you this way, you go and show up in this committee, you register, you walk away, go and register the other committee, you get allowance, without even making any contribution at all, because you used to be members of many committees. That's why Saraman to come in and rein in.
Mutegi, I don't understand why you are very much against MPs. They don't do that. They do no work. They defend you, they make laws that govern you. And these are people who go to the constituency, they help in funerals, they help in weddings.
That's not your business.
They help in, as an MP, someone gets sick at the night. They come to the MP and you...
Even me, if I go home and find 56, they'll come to my house because of a car.
That's collateral.
I get nothing.
That's collateral. So an MP earns about, let's say, 900,000 shillings. After you add in the sittings, committee, whatever, and other allowances, travel, what are they called?
Let's say at most,
travel allowance,
400, at most,
extra.
With everything, extras and so forth, minus the tax, which is 30%. 400, below 400. And imagine now you are used to getting $1 million, now it is reduced to 300 and something.
Minority leader, yourself, or your packs come to how much?
Let's say,
Everything considered.
by the way, as I tell you, we've not been paid ever since we came.
Because you don't
of
want
this
to take the pay that you have been given. And the speaker is threatening to pay you older salaries.
you see now, Makali, understand us. And I hope one day you become an MP. We are an endangered species.
Are you?
Yeah.
Okay, Okumu in Mombasa says that MPs are like a father who eats before the children eat, and that is greediness.
Yes.
I wish Okumu knows that the kind of work we do, but they should sympathize with us and understand that we work under difficult conditions.
The father is telling the children,
By the time-
I'm the one who brought the salary, I'm the one who brought the food, let me eat first.
When you wake
That's
up
what
in
we're
the
saying.
morning, when you wake up in the morning in the rural home, you find a queue very long, and I'm sure you know these things
I know
wherever
that
you are.
because it happened to me also.
It also happens to you.
Yes.
Now these members, you cannot wish them
But
away.
am I
You
getting
have
any
to help
allowance?
them.
Am I getting any allowance from raw media? Because when I go home during the weekend, by the time on Saturday morning,
So many
when
people
my
have come.
neighbors,
They are there.
they are there. So I come here and tell Mr. Masharia. When I went home the last weekend, there are some 15 children in my house wanting shoes and wanting clothes. So Mr. Masharia, please give me more salary.
No, that's why Mashere pays you more
No,
than
it
MPs.
doesn't.
I wish the salaries can be harmonized.
Okay,
So
let's
that-
look at this, Mr. Nyenze. Let's look at your role again, back to your minority leadership. The tyranny of numbers is real.
Yeah.
The futility of your job fighting against the tyranny of numbers is apparent. You are very unlikely to succeed,
Yeah.
even though you want to give credit to members of parliament that they are independent, they'll make their decisions based on their consciences. The truth is that, and you've been in the parliament before, people are whipped into certain positions. What options do you have, seeing that is the future you're facing? The cabinet principal secretaries are coming. Whether you like it or not, the list brought by the president is going to pass. What recourse do you have on behalf of the public?
I think what you have said, Makali, is very right. But I've also started seeing another trend in Parliament. On issues like devolution, there are members across the political divide who take that very seriously. There are others who would like to maintain the former status quo. So there are issues whereby these coalitions will differ, and there will be some formations of other smaller
Around
coalitions
issues.
around issues, not around the parties.
There is hope.
Not hope. I've seen it develop, and what I can tell you, over the next 6 months, I'm not predicting a year, you will see a lot of change, because even Jubilee is a coalition of many parties with different interests, different objectives to achieve for their people, the same with CORD. So it will blare out sometime, and then you will focus on issues.
So what's the relationship like between yourself as the minority leadership and the majority leadership in the House?
We are every benefit we share. Let's say we are equal in terms of allowances and security and personnel that is attached to our offices. Same offices, same provision for everything. The only difference is they are the party in power, and they have the majority in parliament. We have the minority, and we are not in power. But on everything else,
In terms of
the
operation,
relationship,
I think,
yes, how you
relationship
work
of running the
together.
business of the House,
Yeah.
motions,
okay.
discussing
Now,
issues that affect the
normally
country.
the government motions are brought by the majority leader, and as we interrogate them, we try to see how balanced they are for the welfare of Kenyans, but they are brought by the leader of majority.
Are you able to negotiate, agree bipartisan without, strictly speaking? Are there areas you think you are agreeing and look forward to agreeing? And maybe you just address your role vis-a-vis the government, how far the government has come looking at Uhuru's government and your role in checking that government. There are already issues, people are already flagging, there is a jet that was had at a lot of money, Parliament is going to probe that. All these issues, are they occupying you?
Not very much, but there are differences. Let me tell you, we are coming out from an election whereby one party feels they lost and never lost fairly. There is this other party that feels we won and we won squarely, we are in power. So because of those dynamics, there is that bitterness from one side that this election was stolen from us, and we have more Kenyans out there if we go by the numbers and if it were done properly.
But why are you contradicting yourself? Jubilee has more numbers.
Let's say number
So
of MPs. Let me
Jubilee has
finish,
more numbers.
Mutegi.
What did they steal?
I'm saying.
When you say election was stolen.
I'm saying there are those. I'm saying there are those
there are
who
those.
see. I never say the election was stolen. I'm saying there are those who see it as a stolen election. So there is that bitterness.
You don't see it that way. Speaking for yourself.
Definitely, I think CORD won that election.
How come they don't have the majority in the House?
Just because of
what is winning?
one reason. If you add the votes for all the civic or the county member of county assemblies, all the members of women representatives, all the members of governors, all those votes are coming to 10 million, 10. But for presidential, it's 12 million. My only question is, where did the 2 million, why is there a difference for presidential election? So that informs my feeling that CORD, if it was given proper, and now that we accepted, we said, okay, Kenya has to move on.
Yeah.
We accept these results, though it is painful to us, we accept it to let the country move on.
Yes,
Right.
okay,
so
moving
going
forward.
back to the going back to the point that David raised about pushing your agenda through, the big news of the day is the release of the TJRC report, and it's huge. We haven't had a chance to get into it, but given our past, we've had various commissions, we've had various reports released. How far can you push for the complete implementation of this report?
We'll push to the farthest end because Kenya has changed a lot and the society has been dynamic and the change has come faster than many people expected. It's not like before whereby you would just put a report under the shelf. This new constitution gives people the right to access to information, and you can only hide it for some time, but not forever.
How will you deal with selective implementation, given that we heard that there were efforts to alter parts of the report? And so, there will be parts that are more difficult to address than others.
That there are members who are respected in that commission. And if something is changed, I'm sure they will point out.
No, but the question really is that there will be parts of the report that touch on very sensitive issues, and you will see reluctance to implement. So how do you push for the implementation? Say, for instance, on the controversial issue of land.
We will push it to the with a full force from both Parliament and outside. We interact with Kenyans. We interrogate that, and I can assure you that no stone will be left unturned. The opposition is very vibrant. You may not hear us make very bold statements, but we are very consistent, and we always achieve what we intend to.
In fact, I think Woodwork is being too generous to expect that whether it is the minority or the majority, that there is anything in it that would make or inspire the minority to push for its implementation, because the report names people who are both in the minority or minority political affiliation and the majority. So it's not even a fair question to ask whether minority will push for it, because they might not want to push for it in the first place. So in fact, is there political
As
will?
I said, we are independent. The fact that we consult does not mean that we will not push because one of us is named in the report. I'm sure Kenyans have seen a lot of change because of this constitution, and I'm sure we will live to the spirit and let
Do you think, obviously, Mr. Nyenze, you were there when the Ndungu report was released on land.
Yeah.
Very
elaborate
revelations.
Yes.
You know that there was selective implementation. In fact, only perhaps a quarter of the report was implemented.
Yes.
The same people, players, are in this government.
Yes.
And in politics, whether outside or inside, in opposition or in the majority in the House. So what confidence is there that in fact Kenyans are going to have? What do you think there's political will? Let me ask that, looking at the government of the day.
Let's say, even if there is no political will, the platform under which those people under those commissions that time used to operate has changed. The environment is completely changed. Kenyans have been empowered, and parts of this constitution have given Kenyans more power to demand and get things done. So we are operating on a different scene, and I'm sure a lot of things will change. The presidency has been stripped of a lot of powers, and I'm sure you will not see the excesses.
Can you give us a timeline now? The report has come out. How soon do we expect it in Parliament, and you know, what happens?
There was a delay in handing over the report to the president, and the Attorney General did explain the reasons. I'm sure once it's handed into Parliament, I'm in that committee of House Business Committee. I'm sure we will put it as a priority, we will discuss it, and we will implement it. And as I said, this one Kenyans will demand for full implementation, because it's not like before. Before, things could work differently. These days you don't have that freedom.
Right, so we've got to end. Any final thoughts, any final questions, David?
Well, the minority obviously had its own agenda if it had gone to government. Has that gone under the table, or are you trying to push some of those things to be implemented by this government? Because they were in the interest of the country. And if you have some thoughts on it, what do you think is the priority for government, and what will you be pushing for?
Yes, you rightly put it. The party that is minority now had an agenda and a manifesto to Kenyans. We will still try to implement it in the position that we are in. But as I said earlier, there is a bit of hostility now that we've just come from the election. We are in a healing process. And I'm sure with the time, we will find a balance whereby objectivity on issues will prevail instead of these emotions of reacting to the other side. And I'm sure we will take our...
It was said here that you are ready to step down for Kalonzo Musyoka. And now it is said it's impossible. What transpired?
Kalonzo Musyoka never asked me to step down for him.
But you offered.
You are ready to step down.
It was not me, it was the people of Mwingi where he comes from, but he never asked them. But the party felt if he came into the house, he would articulate party issues in the house. But that is water under the bridge. He has said he's not interested. He's told me to carry on. So, and he never requested. This was a media creation.
No. How was he going to go to Parliament? To be the leader of the opposition. Somebody had to step down.
Definitely.
Was it one of you? Were you one of those people?
No, I was not one, because I come from Kitui, he comes from Mwingi. It's the people of Mwingi. But it's the party that was feeling they could ask one to step down for him.
Then they couldn't get one?
Him. No, not that they couldn't get one. Before it was decided, Kalonzo said, no, don't trouble yourself. I'm busy doing whatever I do
took a long time.
It never took a long time, you know. He was not privy to whatever was happening.
Okay, so we'll end with a text. And several of our viewers, before we got onto the salaries issues, several of our viewers texted in support of you, saying that they favor your leadership style. And so just to encourage you in the work. And I think one of them came from someone in Nyenze saying, Shambiki, we are proud of you and your leadership. You just need to check on the salaries issue. So our time is up. I'll thank you, Francis Nyenze, MP for Kitui West and leader of the minority, for joining us. And I'll thank David Makali and Mutegi Njau as well for their insight. And I'll thank you, our viewers, for listening to us, engaging with us, sending us your thoughts, your questions, your opinions. My name is Udwa Kamimo. We'll see you next week.